From the studio at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Charlotte, this is Adrian Brown with As the Buckle Turns, episode 19. Thank you everybody for the applause. Thank you very much. And for those of you who don't know, who may be tuning this for the first time, I am now a graduate of the certification program for broadcasting at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting as of this broadcast. Yeah, it took me a good 10 months to finish. It was a long grind. A lot of you came along with me on it. You know, I kept you guys in the loop about everything I was doing. You know, as far as, it's allowed me the outlet for this podcast for the most part. And just because I've graduated doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing it here. So the opening will stay the same until further notice. But yeah, your boy, you know, that's the main reason why it's been a long time for this upload coming, because it was a little bit of a grind there towards the end to get it done. And like, I'm out here on my grind still, you know, trying to tighten up my portfolio and work to be done. Still looking for internships and things like that. Trying to do my own thing, you know, freestyle wise as well. But anyway, I'll always keep you guys posted with that. Any of you who have followed me on Facebook as well, you know what I'm going through and, you know, what I'm trying to get out there and what I'm trying to do. So I really appreciate everybody that's come along with me. And hopefully you guys will keep seeing me grow. You won't have to hear me mention, you know, projects and things like that any longer. So expect more uploads coming on a weekly basis, and probably multiple ones now if I'm able to do it. The only other thing I guess I can say I'll be doing other than that, like I said, is still be trying to get, you know, work in the field and trying to, you know, get work in that aspect. But until then, you know, I'm going to make a pact to try and upload more times for you guys, because like I said, that's really the only way this is going to grow even more, is if I'm putting out more content on a weekly basis and on a consistent basis. So be on the lookout for that. So here we are, 2019. It's a happy new year to everybody who hasn't heard me since then. So let's start this off really well here. You know, I made a pact with myself towards the end of 2018 when it came to wrestling. And there's a lot of it out there now, and I'm going to get to that for the most part in this broadcast here. And I don't know, it's really tough these days to consume everything. But I've made a pact with myself. If I'm going to really commit to doing this podcast, you know, outside of my, you know, daily work and things like that, if I'm really going to commit to this, this is a wrestling based podcast. So if I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to have to really, really watch more wrestling. And I don't just mean more WWE. I mean more wrestling overall. I'm talking across all companies. Now, I'm going to have to figure out a balance when it comes to things like that, because there's a lot of it out there to consume. And the main thing I want to get into in this episode here is, a lot of you knew when the new year came in, like I said, I wasn't recording at that time, of course, basically the creators of the All In event, which I never really got a chance to expand on during another hiatus I was on. But the creators of the All In event, Cody and the Young Bucks, they basically, you know, got himself a backer in the owner of the Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars of the NFL, and they've now started their own company. For those of you who, like I said, I'm late on this, but whatever. And the company they started is called All Elite Wrestling. I'm pretty sure a lot of you wanted me to chime in on that, those of you who really listen to this on a regular basis. I'm going to give you my thoughts on everything right here. In a big let's be honest moment on my part, in my own little way, I'm kind of excited about it, because as I said before in a previous episode, you know, I believe it was episode 13, I've seen promotions come and I've seen promotions go. But above all else, I always give the promotion a chance, no matter what it is, no matter what the style. If I like it, I will continue to watch it. If I don't, I'll turn it off, and I won't watch it anymore. So I'm not going to bury a product before it even gets off the ground. You can look at the roster of the people they sign, and it's pretty much par for the course of what you will find in most independent wrestling companies. You know, the lower cards of the NJPW, the upper card of Ring of Honor, and you can probably guess how the show is going to be. But like I said, I'm not going to bury it right away before I even get a chance to see one episode. if they're really going to have a weekly TV deal, because, like I said, this is early. I mean, as far as I know, it could be like a monthly thing for them to start off similar to NWA TNA, which is kind of what I'm going to compare it to in a way as far as a fledgling company goes. It's completely going to be run by wrestlers. So it's going to be run by the boys, with Cody being the COO, basically. He doesn't really give himself that title. Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, they all list themselves as executive vice presidents. But you can pretty much tell Cody's the front man. So we're going to call him the COO. And we're going to call Matt and Nick Jackson the executive vice presidents. Brandy, Cody's wife, being the CBO, the chief branding officer. And if a lot of you are probably saying how that's kind of familiar, yeah, it's true, because those are the exact same titles that Triple H and Stephanie have in the WWE. I don't think that's ironic at all. So the trick for these guys is going to be, and the way I look at it, they're going to have to set themselves apart in some sort of way, because as we all know right now, Impact is on all these obscure networks. They've moved to this weird network called Pursuit after being on, Pop TV for as long as they were, and Destination America before that, and Spike TV before that. So I don't know. They've tried to keep themselves in the public eye for a while, but it just hasn't worked out on a consistent basis for them. So it's, AEW, as we're going to just shorten and call it now, they're going to have to find some way to not only get on TV on a consistent basis, but somehow find a way to make them different. Some sort of way to set them apart. And if they're going to come in here with the same old characters, the same old wrestling as they've done before, it's really not going to make much of a mark. Because if you can just see this at these regular little house shows and events that you may go to for PWG or your local indie promotion, when one of these random guys may come in as like a special guest or something, like, if you're still seeing the same thing in these smaller shows and that you're going to be seeing on AEW, it's not going to make much difference. It's just going to have a few more bells and whistles than ROH or something like that normally would, which won't set it apart in any separate way. I thought about it when I was talking to somebody on one of their YouTube videos. They were streaming live. I'm like, the best thing they could probably do is play off their Being the Elite series that Matt and Nick produce, where they do these little pre-tapes and these little, joking things with each other and things like that. And a lot of you haven't checked that out on YouTube. I'm pretty sure some of you have. I mean, the stuff is entertaining at times. It can get a little over the top, but again, this is an over the top business. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So if they could probably play off it weekly in that manner with some random, matches sprinkled in a pre-taped manner, maybe that'll catch on in a small way. Because again, they got to stick this out in some way. If not, it's just going to be your typical indie show on television. And how in the world is that going to make an impact in any way or form in the entire, trying to stick it to the evil empire that is the WWE, which has become the Death Star, I guess you will, of the entire independent alternative wrestling movement that's going on out there. I guess Vince is the emperor. Call whoever you want Darth Vader. I don't really know how you would fill that in. And to me, that'll always be an issue right here that I'll see with them. They've got to be patient with this. That's the one thing they're going to have to be. And that'll be my biggest fear about all this. Because it worked initially in WCW in the early Nitro days when Bischoff had first taken it over and before the NWO had completely become what they were. And it just seemed like an entire, we're being taken over by WWE, but we're taking these old guys from WWE and we're making it seem like they're coming in and we're absorbing them and we're going to use them to stick it to the man, to their old boss, to their old company. So that will always be my biggest fear, because it worked back in the mid to late 90s, because in a way WCW was on par with the WWF. Okay, Bischoff was always going to be able to make it seem like he was poking fun and trying to stick it to Vince. And Vince would always make sure that he was like poking fun back with the Huckster and the Nacho Man over on his side, because the two sides were even. You know, they were battling out. Those two companies were fairly even. There's no way Vince will acknowledge a startup company, no matter how much they're going to be, you know, probably writing some crazy angles and crazy verbiage in their promos and things like that over there. Because they've already said on, I believe, some Cage Side Seats article that they're not going to have writers. So the guys are going to be writing their own stuff. So they're going to try to make it seem like it's a bit more organic. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but we'll see what happens. But Vince is not going to acknowledge that either way. Maybe, just maybe, if your ratings end up at least even with his, and it seemed like you're taking a bit of his timeshare if you guys are running next to him, yes, that's exactly why that worked in the Monday Night Wars era. AEW basically is going to be a fly buzzing around a lion's head. A lion doesn't acknowledge a fly. Okay? The lion will acknowledge the other lion that's trying to come up in his pack and usurp him as the alpha. That's a different story. Okay? The fly will just land on the lion, and the lion will just be like, okay. Get the analogy? Because that's exactly what AEW will be when it first starts up. It's not even going to be worth Vince's time to acknowledge them until they become viable enough for him to. When you try and stick it to the man too much, when the man's not even acknowledge you just simply come off as bitter, and your product is simply going to come off as, I don't know, needing your opposition to survive. Especially when your opposition doesn't even acknowledge your existence. That'll hurt you more than it'll help you in anything. And hopefully they'll understand that early and resist that temptation. Will I watch? Yes. If I'm able to watch it, I don't care if it's like on, maybe they'll stream it on YouTube initially, or if it's going to be on pay-per-view, like I said, like the early days of NWA TNA and stuff like that. You know, plenty of pirating sites out there, folks. We know this. That's the honest to goodness truth. That'll be the only way I watch it. But will I watch it? Yes. And I'll treat it with a critical eye. Okay? You know, I'm not the biggest fan of, the Young Bucks' style and things like that, but I appreciate their business acumen. But the issue will always be navigating the initial hardcore hype of it all. Because the hardcore fans, they're going to think, first and foremost, they think they're, those guys who think they're in the business. And when they pull those fans initially, they're going to sit there and they're going to believe like, okay, we got all these fans right here. We must be hotter than we actually are. And that's going to be a mistake on their parts if they don't understand that. Because I don't think that Cody and the Bucks, as long as all three of those guys have been in the business, I don't think they understand how to read the casual fan, which is pretty much down to like, I don't know, 2% of all of wrestling fandom. It's really, really hard to understand how much you need those people, how much you have to make a product to bring more people in. Okay, the whole preaching to the choir and playing to the house thing, that's a legit thing. Anybody can do that. If the choir is the only people in the church, the choir shows up regardless. They have a job to do. The choir is always there. So if the preacher is just going to preach to them, he's only preaching to people that have to be there. Okay? You might as well, if you're just going to do that, if you want to make it a wrestling analogy, you might as well just be putting on 5-star wrestling matches for the production crew. The people who will always be in the truck, the people who will always be running your cameras, the people who will always be pushing the buttons for the pyro and things like that. You don't need anybody in the stands if that's the case. If you're just going to play to the choir like that, if that makes any sense to you, you'll understand. But I don't think as much as Cody has been in this business, there's a part of me that believes he doesn't really understand that part of it. And maybe I could be exaggerating there a little bit. Considering he's the son of somebody who really understood character building, long-term booking, and storylines and things like that. It's kind of disturbing and sad. The Young Bucks, their ability to profit so much off the hardcore audience. I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people who bought multiples of the same shirt from those guys. They extract so much money out of those hardcore fans. They believe that's all they really need. I believe they figure as long as they're able to get as much as they can out of them, wrestling's fine. And they constantly seem to think that their emphasis on, in quotes, pro wrestling will help. Nobody ever says that the term pro wrestling is bad. Just because, we really understand that this is sports-based entertainment, because that's really what it's called. There's really no such thing as professional wrestling. Okay? And the reason I say that is nobody watches the NCAA wrestling championships on national television. The basketball championships are televised. The football championships, heck, even the baseball championships are televised on ESPN. I mean, where on earth are the NCAA wrestling championships broadcast? I don't know, maybe ESPN Plus or something like that. There is no professional wrestling. Nobody would watch that even if it was. Okay, that wrestling people like to talk about, that ends after college. Till then, you either go to professional wrestling, sports entertainment, or you go to mixed martial arts. Nobody would dare in their minds watch a professional league of amateur wrestling style. It's gonna be nice that they're gonna try and play up wins and losses and not keep it promo heavy and not keep it storyline heavy and things like that. But you're not going to be able to convince people to be invested in a fight that they know is not real when all they got to do is turn over to mixed martial arts and watch a guy get head kicked one time and knocked out, or really rear naked choked and choked unconscious. But then they turn over to your show, you're hitting people with 6 super kicks in a row, and all they're doing just standing doing a drunk cell. Okay? Or you put a rear naked choke style hold on somebody, they fake passing out and stand back up and fight through it, because that doesn't happen in a real fight. You can put all the emphasis on wrestling all you want to, but until you can somehow make people believe it, it's not going to work. That's why you always need the entertainment factor. And if they shy away from that too much, that's going to be a problem for them for real. I really hope that's not the case. Call yourself all elite if you want to, because at the moment, all I see is a bunch of people who can't even hack it at the top level. That's why at one point in time I made a statement on Twitter. I call it all elite mid-carders, because they are all great in the positions that they are at the level that they're at. That includes Cody. They gave that man so many different chances and so many, give the guy credit. He even reinvented himself a number of times, and he kept himself relevant to a point, but he wasn't going to get but so far. Maybe, just maybe, if you invested in him enough with an actual story that made people care about him enough, and then he saw the current reactions that he was getting. Look, I can go into like fantasy booking and things like that, but I'm not going to. Okay, because I think a lot of you who listen to this show, you understand. You saw what Cody did and didn't do. You saw the level that he could reach. And you probably thought where he got at was probably the peak of his powers. I understand he's being treated like a god where he is. I mean, props to him for betting on himself. Props to his wife for going on the ride with him. That took some guts on both of their parts. And honestly, I'm happy for both of them for at least getting to this point right here. It's got a lot of people in the business excited about it. And a lot of people haven't been excited about stuff in this business for a long time. And speaking of the business, with so many places to work now, I thought about it too. In this current era, you've got more places to work, which is a good thing. But here's also the thing. More places to work can also be a bad thing, because of the talent level that we have coming through that don't have, like, from what I've seen, there's an oversaturation of crappy characters or lack of characters. So if I've got all these crappy characters on multiple shows, I mean, what's being solved here? What's so great about it? Austin Aries and, over in Evolve is still Austin Aries and Impact. It's the same guy. Okay, the Young Bucks in New Japan are still the Young Bucks in ROH. See what I'm saying? How does that make things better? Just because you're able to get more paychecks with the same, character that's not really connecting with the masses. But I respect the fact that you're still making your money, because that is the whole goal of all of this. Okay, these companies are still wanting to pay you this for crappy characters. That's on the company. And that's not on you for wanting to constantly make more money. Because I said in episode 2, I'll never fault anybody for doing that. Period. But will I watch again? You darn right I will. Because as a wrestling fan, it's what I do. I have no shame in saying that. Anybody else that may not like that style, they're probably lying to if you say they won't watch. They will. But a lot of people are checking it out on wrestling overall, period. They probably hear about another company coming along. They're probably not as excited as other people are. On to a couple more things real quick, some housekeeping stuff and one quick announcement as well. This is Royal Rumble weekend. As we know, Royal Rumble always been one of my favorite pay-per-views. It's one of the original Big Four. I love Royal Rumble. I love Survivor Series still. Royal Rumble is probably one of my favorite events and pay-per-views ever. And we got a show coming up this Sunday as well. As we know, I'm recording this on a Saturday, so it's coming on tomorrow. And this is one of the more exciting and probably more anticipated Royal Rumbles in a while, because this is a big one, with Roman gone and, Ronda Rousey, being here, Brock still going to be wrestling. And these two Royal Rumbles right here with the men and the women. These are a couple more anticipated matches with a lot of up in the air predictions coming out there. One of them's probably more no-brainer than the other, and the other one's going to take some imagining to pull off. 2 title matches for the women. Got 2 title matches for the men, and there's some decent stuff on display. I do believe Drew McIntyre wins the men's Rumble. It just stands to reason. My dark horse for that is Dean Ambrose. The popular choice is Seth Rollins. Seth's everybody's little darling right now, so you can probably see that. As far as the women go, my prediction for that, after Becky Lynch loses, this is a quick pre-prediction, after Becky Lynch loses to Asuka in the SmackDown Women's Championship match, somehow or another, I don't know, she'll probably insert herself into the Women's Royal Rumble. She and Charlotte Flair will somehow double eliminate each other, and they'll be co-winners of that match. I believe I don't really have a dark horse for that, because nothing else would make sense. Charlotte or Becky have to win that match so they can both challenge Ronda Rousey, who I think is going to pretty much, I'm not going to say easily beat Sasha Banks, because Sasha Banks gives a good licking whenever she's in there. She'll bump for you, but she's going to give out a beating too. But Ronda's going to beat Sasha, because it's just only fitting that Ronda holds on to the title and somehow loses it at WrestleMania, where she made her debut last year. Holding that title to Mania is going to work out fine for Ronda. Okay, somehow or another, like I said, I think both of those women will double eliminate each other, and like I said, all 3 of those women have unfinished business. So why not just put all 3 in a match and have them face each other at WrestleMania in a triple threat? It just stands to reason. Daniel Bryan will probably retain against AJ. I don't see it any other way. Daniel Bryan's angry vegan, new green deal type character. It's really selling. Like I said, this is the character he always should have been playing. Said by yours truly. WWE knows who I am, right? Jab. But anyway, as far as I know, Brock will not be facing Demon Balor. He'll be facing Man Balor. It'll be your typical Brock versus little guy match. He'll suplex him all over the place. Finn will probably get a comeback full of running drop kicks. Maybe even get a coup de grace in there. Brock will probably catch him out of another one. He attempts F5s in one time and finish him. And that'll be the end of Finn Balor. And they'll probably say, you didn't beat the Demon. Face me at SummerSlam or something like that. Who knows? That'll be as far as my Royal Rumble predictions go. As far as the bigger matches, I'm not going to go into pre-show stuff. And honestly, WWE, stop calling it the pre-show, because these lunatic Mark fans online, they get mad because Rusev or Nakamura on the pre-show. It's still in the same building. It's still in the same venue. It's still on the same day. It's just an hour before the show. Just by giving a name called a pre-show, it really pisses these people off. I don't understand why. But anyway, just stop calling it the pre-show. Call it something else, or just say, early Royal Rumble match or something. Who knows? Just get rid of pre-show tag. And one more thing real quick. Your boy's starting off the year with a bang here. Tonight, not too long after I record this, I'll be watching NXT Takeover Phoenix, which I hate to say I'm not really excited about, probably because the Velveteen Dream isn't wrestling on it. But I will be watching it live on the network, but right after it goes off, I will be on Fowl Originals Network on YouTube, discussing it in a roundtable with me and 2 other guys. And we will be discussing it live after it. So my very first guest podcasting appearance since I've been doing this. So, thank goodness for Twitter. Thank goodness for all of you guys helping me get my name out there, give me the followers up that I have. I appreciate everybody for doing that. But real quick, I'll just give some NXT Takeover Phoenix predictions. It's only 5 matches, so this probably might last 2 hours or so or something like that before I get online. And Fowl Original is in England. And honestly, after we record his show, I might actually upload that as episode 19.5. So be on the lookout for that. It'll probably be under a different name or something like that. But if he allows me to, I'll upload that to my show network here for you guys to listen to as well. But those of you who know the card for NXT Phoenix, I have Matt Riddle beating Cassius Ohno for the 3rd time. He knocked him out the first time, submitted him second time, and honestly, they're probably beating this down a little too much. If they gave Ohno this match, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, I'm going with Riddle to win it. I'm going with the Undisputed Era, Strong and O'Reilly to beat the War Raiders, Rowan Hansen, because I think the Undisputed Era needs to at least keep some gold with them to keep them annoying and oppressive. I don't think the War Raiders are long for the NXT roster. They probably belong up top. I mean, to me, they're way better than NXT. They're just way too good for that. See here, I've got Shayna Baszler losing to Bianca Belair. Losing the NXT Women's title to Bianca Belair. And I believe Bianca Belair will go on to be the best NXT Women's Champion of all time. That's saying a bunch, considering all the women that have come before her. Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, Asuka. I mean, that's going to be saying something, but I really think that girl has something special. I really do. And Shayna Baszler, like I said, they've already given her something to do with her 4 Horsemen women teammates that are still down there to help them train with, and they got their little thing they never resolved between the 3 of them, as well as their opposition of Dakota Kai, Io Shirai, and Kairi Sane. So that'll give Shayna something to do even when she loses the title before she even decides to go back and instigate her rematch clause, which I'm not sure what they're doing with NXT down there with rematch clauses, because on Raw and SmackDown, those are gone now. I don't know. Nobody's ever really asked that. So I just did. North American Championship, Ricochet retains. Because here's the thing. Before I say all that, I'll just get to the main event, which is Aleister Black versus the champion Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa retains as well because Aleister Black, he's not long for NXT either. He probably needs to go to the roster like right after the Rumble. This whole Tommaso Ciampa thing as NXT champion, the only way you pay off this entire thing of this reign of terror he has is if Johnny Gargano beats him for the title. They booked themselves into a corner with this entire thing, and that won't make any sense, making Johnny Gargano the eternal failure at double champion. So have Ricochet keep his belt, maybe have him lose it to Bobby Fish or somebody like that, bring it back to the Undisputed Era. And Adam Cole said that in 2019, the entire UE would all be draped in gold. But remember, he didn't say NXT gold. Think about that. That's as the buckle turns for this week, everybody. Make sure you check me out. Maybe I'll tweet out the live stream on YouTube for Fowl Originals Roundtable with me and the other 3 guys. So if you want to check it out live late night, you can. Like I said, if not, I'll try and upload it to my network, so you guys can see it on wherever you listen. You'll see and listen to it wherever you get your podcast at. But anyway, like I always tell you, new episode drops every Saturday, unless I say otherwise. And make sure you're checking it out on all your favorite podcasting directories and YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher, Castbox, TuneIn. And like I said, we're all in this together. Make sure we do this together. So until then, this is Adrian. As the buckle turns. See you next time.